Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Welcome to Hong Kong Confidential. I'm Jules Hannaford and I'm your host. I'm an Australian woman and I've been living in Hong Kong for many years. I'm a mother, a teacher, an author, and I want to share my wisdom and the wisdom of others with you. Thanks for joining me and I hope you enjoy the show.
You meet someone online and there's this instant connection. It's amazing how much the two of you just seem to click. They live somewhere far away and there's some plausible reason they can't travel to meet you. They tell you they're in love with you and you feel optimistic for the first time in a long time. They have a successful career, yet somehow they need money from you to solve a short-term problem, always with the promise of paying you back. Time goes on and they need more money more urgently. You've started to see the cracks and begin to wonder whether they've been lying this whole time. All of a sudden it hits you. You've been scammed. Fool Me Twice is the story of my mother, Jules Hannaford, a woman who was drawn into the dangerous world of sweetheart scams. After a trip overseas to meet a stranger, a dangerous altercation in a Manchester hotel room, and thousands of pounds lost for good, she's here to tell her story. Fool Me Twice, a true crime podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Ozcast Network, and anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Today I'm here with Amanda Micallef from Married at First Sight Australia this season. Thank you so much for joining me today, Amanda. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you, Jules. Thanks for having me. I'm rapt to be here.
Yeah, it's great. You've definitely got a little fan base in Hong Kong. I've got a number of friends that have been watching MAFS.
How awesome.
You're a legend, portrayed really well in the show from my point of view. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's awesome.
Amanda, what made you decide to go on a reality TV show to search for love?
Look, I applied for the show the night that my ex-partner and I had broken up. It's only because we had so many issues for months leading into that it kind of felt like, oh, you know what? I was already over it a while ago. We were fighting for so long. And I thought, I was watching the final episode and then the apply now function came on the screen and I went for it. And then I got a call the very next day and I don't know, I just had a really strong hunch. I thought, this could really work. I could be with a chance. I mean, I've got a point of difference. I'm gay, but I don't look stereotypical. I'm very different. People might say from society standards, I look very straight, I guess. I don't feel like I need to wave the rainbow flag per se. I guess I had something very different about me to represent the community at large in a very positive light. And I thought, why not? I mean, I've got as much a chance as anyone does. I went in with full confidence and it was a shoo-in, basically. It was a 5-month-long process, but it was just one thing after another. It was just bang, 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 then nothing for a while, and then bang, everything kind of happened overnight. Through that process where I heard nothing for a while, I then reached out to my ex and we were going to work things out and we were taking it very slowly. At the time, we weren't officially back together. And then when the opportunity for the show came on, I was like, I had to make a decision, which was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, is to sit her down and explain to her why I'm choosing the show over working it out with her and getting back with her officially.
Why was that? What was your reasoning for doing that? Do you want to share that with us?
Yeah, that's fine. Because, I mean, I guess I kept seeing red flags. You've always got that honeymoon period when you work things out with people, and then as time goes on, you're like, oh, it's going to go back to the same thing, same old thing. And I'm like, Married at First Sight's an opportunity for me to potentially meet someone. And if it doesn't work, it'll open doors. It's really that simple. I've always wanted to make an impact in life and be of service to others. And I thought, if it doesn't work, at least I can maybe elevate my business to the next level and get recognised for all the hard work I've been doing over these years. And not getting a lot of recognition over the years and just kind of grinding away, I thought, MAFS gives everyone an amazing platform if you can do good things with it. I thought, well, like I said, I've got an excellent coaching business, which I get to change people's lives for a living. I just wanted to have fun with the whole experiment.
And you were in it for the right reasons. You wanted to find love, but you could see a silver lining in other ways that could come from it, from being a part of the show.
100%. Yeah.
Tell me a bit about your business. What do you do and how do you help people in the coaching? I know you're in the sort of well-being, physical. I've looked at your Instagram, you're hot as.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, yeah, I have body envy for sure. But tell me a bit about what you do in your coaching.
I've been running my own business, Divine Physique, officially full-time since 2016. Pardon me, but about 2 to 3 years prior to that, on a very part-time basis. I coach in areas of bodybuilding, functional training, rehabilitation, boxing, and also mindset coaching as well. I'm pretty well-rounded. I've got a powerlifting background as well. I've competed 3 times in powerlifting. I'm very much a hybrid coach where I don't just strictly stick with one way of coaching. Like most coaches, we've probably competed in different sports and stuff like that. I've got a few skills under my belt in that regard. I offer online and face-to-face coaching. I've created a 6-week mindset course. I've done other challenges which I've created from scratch back in the day, but available online at the moment. If anyone wants to purchase anything, for example, they can purchase my 6-week mindset course. And I've got 3 6-week training at-home programs at the moment during lockdown.
See, that's brilliant, isn't it? It's really shifting your focus to suit what's going on in society and still allowing your clients to get the support that they need. I'll definitely put all of your links in my show notes so my listeners can get in touch with you. And we're a global world now, so it doesn't matter where you are. And Hong Kong Confidential is listened to in 125 different countries. So hopefully you'll get some people from Slovenia or Malta or wherever.
How exciting. I'll just quickly ask, how long have you been running your podcast for now?
So this one's been running for 3 years in September, and I've done nearly 150 episodes. I put out every week. I've been consistent once a week. It's just been going really, really well. And Hong Kong and Australia are my 2 biggest audiences, which is fantastic. And then my other podcast, For Me Twice, the one that's up for the Webby, that's huge in the US. That's going crazy in the US.
Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
So it's so
we'll talk more about that later. I also run a podcast.
Oh, cool. What's your podcast called?
It's called the Fitness Mindset Podcast. I've got about 30 episodes out. I don't do them weekly because I'm just not consistent enough with it, with so much of everything else going on at the same time.
I'm sure you've got a lot going on now, just post-math. You must be super busy.
It's crazy. I'm working with another business called Black Dog Coaching. At the moment, we're developing a 17-week sisterhood course for women.
Is that to do with depression, Black Dog?
Basically, it's fitness, mindset and nutrition geared towards mental health. It's not like a 6-week challenge where it's all about calorie restriction and working incredibly hard. We look at basically rewiring a person's mindset and thought process and help them actually break through just everything, why people just struggle to actually maintain a particular lifestyle because they don't have the mental wiring to sustain it long term.
And I guess you're looking at the gut-brain connection as well and how important that all is.
1,000%. Exactly. So for those that are listening, what you basically digest is directly linked to your mindset. So if your gut health is not great, the neurons which run into your brain are heavily affected and can lead to things like depression and other mental illness.
Physical health too. It really connects with both your mental health. If you're doing a program that's looking at all of that together, that's so ideal. I want to join.
Honestly, it's...
Yeah.
Even as a coach and for someone who's been doing this my whole life, looking at the topics that Neil, the founder, has put together, it's such an education for anyone going through it that we come from a very evidence-based approach. He looks at the psychology behind everything, behind the eating, behind the training, and behind the nutrition side of it and the mindset. It's full on.
Can you tell me a little bit more about what you mean by mindset coaching? Is it to win? Is it to be physically the best that you can be? Or does it encompass more than just that?
In a nutshell, it's not about being fluffy and positive affirmations and stuff like that. To be absolutely clear, it is about getting shit done when it's not convenient, basically. Life happens and people get busy. I'm now having to train from home. It's not a motivating place to be when you need to train. There's nothing like getting in your gear, getting in your car, going to the gym, being surrounded by like-minded people. Training from home is a lot more challenging because you don't have that environment to shift your mindset. When your environment is not motivating, your mindset needs to be set to a thermostat that no matter rain, hail, shine, you know you can get things done. Whether you're in the mood or not, it is your automatic operating system. Where's your thermostat at? We look at rewiring habits because it's all about habits. Once you can change what's on autopilot, it then becomes natural to the person. So for me, training is a non-negotiable. I don't fight with myself over it. It's just part of what I do every day. If I want to feel and look amazing, I train. It's a byproduct of that. If I want to have energy, I eat. If I want to smell good, I got to shower. It's part of survival. Training is part of survival. Unfortunately, it's not practiced enough by a lot of people. It seems to be that one aspect of life which gets underutilized, which for the most part, in my opinion, is what fixes and heals a lot of things naturally.
It can absolutely change your whole well-being from the inside out with training. How long do you think it takes to break a habit? There's a certain amount of time, isn't there, for habit changing or reforming?
From what I've learned, they generally say about 90 days of consistency. And in that 90 days, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to fall over. When I used to train in the early days of the gym, and this is going back, I'm 34 and I'm talking back when I was 23, I was riddled with anxiety. I would sit in my car. I'd sit there for about 10 minutes. On the outside, I looked confident. On the inside, my heart was thumping and I used to have to talk myself into going through the gym doors. That's the hardest part. Once you're in the gym, it's okay. A lot of people can relate to this because a lot of people who are just starting out know exactly what I'm talking about. Once you get through that, you've got to do what's hard at first to make it easy long term because there's no easy way around it. There's just not. You got to go through the fire to get to the other side. But
Absolutely. Courage.
Courage is basically acting in spite of fear. Fear is present, but you do it anyway. If you can imagine yourself on the other side winning victor, then you learn to embrace the process for what it is.
It's amazing because we don't really realize how not easy it is, but how we can reach our goals and how you can put out to the universe what you want and you can actually make it happen. It just does take that courage and that commitment and that consistency, doesn't it?
It does. What people need to appreciate is how many years it takes and the layers and the levels to get to where you need to be. Someone might look at me and go, you make it look so easy. And
I want to look like that in 3 months, please. Sort me out.
I've been at this now for 12 years. I'm constantly either maintaining, bulking, cutting, whatever the case may be. More often than not, I'm just happy maintaining what I've worked so hard for. But I spent the first half of my training career hungry for the next goal. In my 20s, I was young. I didn't have any real sort of responsibilities. I couldn't wait to just get to the gym and train and go, right, what's my goal for the next 6 months? Now I'm 34. I have different goals now. I mean, for me, it's just training to maintain mental health, a great physique in case I've got photo shoots or whatever the case may be. But I won't kill myself for it because I don't have to.
And have you sort of shifted your focus to your business and helping others now?
Yeah, definitely. Whereas before, I'd put my social life on hold, everything, just to make sure I got to the gym. And I was like, well...
Was it an addiction?
It's an obsession. And it takes obsession to get to this level. But it's not forever, Jules. That's the thing. Like, that climb could take some years. The question is, are you willing to sacrifice a lot of things to get there? The answer is most people aren't because they know they get a taste... Jules, they get a taste of it and they go, fuck, this is too hard. It's too hard.
You've got to be a certain type of person. You've got to have perseverance and dedication and grit and all of those aspects. Like you've clearly got that. Some people just don't have that sort of level that you've got. Okay, everyone's different. We shift gears. Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood and realizing that you were gay and how did that work out? And do you have a coming out story that you could share with us? because that's super helpful for any young people who are listening, struggling with their sexuality or gender or their identity.
Sure. A shout out to everyone listening to this who is young, coming out, or is a bit older and had struggles coming out. If you're 40 plus and you're still struggling to come out, don't stress, because this is how I see life. People, be it family, friends, whatever, everyone comes into your life for a reason. And whether you are connected by blood or not, they're probably not built for your life forever. That's okay. Some people put family members on a pedestal. I put everyone on the same bench. Friends, family, colleagues, whatever. If your family don't accept you, be prepared to walk away for self-dignity, pride, respect, confidence, sanity, mental clarity. I have this thing in life. You come in the world alone, you're going to leave alone. Who you take along your journey is your choice and your choice alone. If your family don't respect your decision, be prepared to walk away. There might be a period of time where you might feel like, oh, fuck, I don't know if I've got solid friendships. You might have to be the lone wolf for a little while you maintain a sense of integrity and authenticity. But then on the other side of that, you'll find your tribe. And whether that's a few months or a few years or whatever, you either get to 45, stay in the closet and still unhappy, or you can spend a couple of years really figuring shit out, being honest, and then getting to 45 and living your best life.
You've sent shivers up my spine with that. Thank you so much. That is so profound and meaningful, and it's just going to help so many people out there who are struggling. I think you've hit the nail on the head. I've almost got tears in my eyes. Yeah.
Jules, do you want a tissue, darling?
I think it might be hormonal. That was beautiful. Did you come out as a teen or as a young adult or recently or with the show, or how did it?
You know what? I just always knew I liked girls. I just knew from a young girl. Like, I was a tomboy. I used to wear hats, and I'll never forget, I went into the toilets once in a local caravan park we used to go holidays on, and one of the mums said to me, "This is a girl's toilet." And I said, "I am a girl."
Yeah, so I was called a boy up into my 20s. In my mid-20s with short hair. Thank you, sir. It's like, bloody hell. I mean, it didn't really worry me. I was literally called a boy right into my mid-20s as a mum. I grew my hair and put on weight, grew my boobs, then we're right.
Crazy. Are you gay, Jules, or straight?
No, I'm straight, but my brother's gay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my brother's gay and lives in Sydney with his boyfriend. They've been together 21 years, so I'm so proud to have two brothers.
How amazing.
And he came out when I was the first person he came out to, so honoured. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I knew it. That's awesome. He and his boyfriend have just been embraced into the family. My mum had a bit of a massive wobble to start with. Sorry, Mum, if you're having a listen, but it's bloody true. She was a bit like, oh, call the psychologist. And my dad was just like, don't worry about it. You know, he's our same kid he was yesterday as he is today, like typical Aussie farmer. I think it's genetic. Like, I've got loads of gay cousins, family members. They're all very, very accepted in our family, which is really lovely. But we're not religious, you see. We're not a religious family. And I don't know whether that plays a big role in people not being accepted. Have you been not accepted by your family? I read somewhere that there's been a fallout. I don't know, because I may not be true.
No, definitely. My family were always accepting of my sexuality. It was never a real issue. I came out when I was 21, between the ages of sort of 17. So I had a suicide attempt at the age of 17.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
No,
because of your sexuality?
Probably that. I had an unrequited love attraction towards a straight girl. It was a hard time for me going through high school, living in a household where my dad, we used to walk on eggshells with my dad a lot. He was very emotionally abusive, used to throw stuff, yell all the time. So the environment was very, very toxic. I no longer speak to my dad because of an incident which happened in December with him, which I won't go into. I have contacts with my mum, but I don't speak to my siblings either. It's a little bit sad, and this is what I'm saying. Like, I come from a tight-knit sort of European family, and since kind of like my mum's parents have passed away, because we were closer with my mum's side, like the family all kind of do their own thing now, you know, which is kind of normal in a way once the head of the family go. What my father did was inexcusable, so therefore I'll probably never speak to him again after what happened. But my mum and I maintain a relationship because, I mean, her and I really don't have a reason not to, but I've made it very clear that we have a relationship on the basis that you're interested in our relationship separate to the family. because I got no interest in getting close to the family again. With that said, though, I do speak to extended aunties or cousins and stuff like that. That's not a problem. And this is what I'm saying, Jules, is about sometimes life will throw things at us and we don't even see it coming, and we're like, we've got to learn to adapt with the new change and the new way of living. And one thing that Married at First Sight taught me was, and I didn't get to, they edited this part out of the final reunion. What I'm about to tell you is what was said on the couch, but they didn't show it, is they said, the expert said to me, what have you learnt since leaving the experiment and coming back? And from finishing filming to then coming back to the reunion in January, because filming ended for us in September last year, and the reunion was filmed in January, I said, well, an incident happened with my father. Dealing with a crappy MAFS experience with a very cold-hearted partner who just did not embrace the experiment at all. It was actually quite symbolic to aspects of my relationships with my family members in general. As hard as it was an eye-opener for me to go, I actually make peace with how you are, and I've got to stop trying to seek validation from you guys because you have no peace within yourself. And it took that whole exposure to stop and go, well, I was never meant to meet the right one here. I was actually meant to make peace with the demons I had dancing in me all these years. When we come back to environment and the environment you allow yourself, it comes down to choice. You either stay in a bad environment, albeit a bad abusive partner, father, mum, cousin, whatever the case may be, but we have a choice to walk away from that and accept that sometimes certain people are not meant to be in your life forever, and that's okay. But if you can walk away with a sense of self-awareness and sanity, I mean, that's priceless. And I did just that with that whole experience.
It seems like you seem quite strong and that you're quite happy that you're in a good place. Do you have any sort of regrets?
I'm in the best place I've ever been, if I'm honest.
Great.
I say that with such confidence because I always felt this like void and disappointment and everything over the years. And I'm like, I wish my parents gave me as much time and attention as what they did to my other siblings. What's sad is that other family members and friends actually noticed it. It wasn't just me over dramatizing. When others notice it, that's a problem. It was very empowering for me to walk away and go, well, I'm actually really happy doing life for me, with me. You don't want to come along the ride. That's your loss.
I think there's a wonderful lesson in that for people for all different reasons, not just about gender and sexuality. It can be for any reason if you're being rejected for whatever it is or judged for whatever it is. Tell me a little bit about how did it feel to be representing the LGBTQ community for the first time on MAFS? Was that a huge responsibility? Was it something that you thought about? Was it something that you just kind of went and did and didn't really realise the impact at the time? What was it like?
When I found out I got into the show, my whole week, it was such a huge week. I'll never forget it. The Monday I actually stopped doing a comp prep diet for a bodybuilding show, which was to be in September last year. I was 24 or 25 weeks into the diet and I pulled the pin because I started to develop a temporary eating disorder. So it was too much. Then on the Tuesday was my birthday. On the Wednesday, I found out I got into the show. On the Thursday, I had to see publicity. Thursday night or Friday, I had to break the news to my ex at the time, who we weren't officially back together.
What a whirlwind of a week.
It literally turns my world upside down, and the anxiety it created was, I can't even tell you, I couldn't sleep for 3 days. I had to break the news to my family. They didn't take it well at all because they were afraid of the publicity that the family as a whole might get. But it was insulting to me because I was like, well, don't you have confidence in me to represent us and myself in a good light? They're like, oh, but, being the first lesbian couple, you might get extra attention. And I said, look, I might, but, it's how I carry myself. I said to them, you're all going to eat your words because I'm going to make sure I represent in the best possible light for me as a person, regardless of the community, gays, straights, whatever.
I think you did that. You really did a great job. I really, really admired you, for sure.
Feedback I got from everyone was incredible. I thought if they ever sort of see that or appreciate that, I'm sure they might be sitting back now, but it's neither here nor there. Truth is, I don't care what they think. I'm glad I did it at the end of the day.
Did you feel like your edit was okay? Like, were you happy with the edit that you got?
I think for the most part it was good. The only thing I didn't like is they didn't actually show the fact that we never stayed together. They made out like we were living together the whole time.
And that she moved out after that dinner.
Correct.
Yes,
correct.
yes.
That
That's
wasn't
how
the
I
case.
perceived it.
We went to Daydream Island on our honeymoon for 6 days. They showed one day of that whole 6 days. There was a lot of dates we did go on, a lot of nice things we did do. With that said, like she got the honeymoon suite the whole 6 days, which is a beautiful double room, 12 variations of coffee and all the other luxuries you can imagine. And
You didn't get it?
No, I got stuck in a bed on the other side of the hotel, which was more like their base economy suite. It was still a beautiful room with a nice view, but nothing like what the honeymoon suite was. She never once offered and said, would you like to maybe stay here for a night and I'll go stay in the other room?
Swap 3 nights each.
Or whatever, you know, or sleep on the couch, or she wanted nothing to do with me off camera. If I was a horrible person, I'd understand, but to not even be respected at all as a human being.
We picked that up for sure, that she was treating you like that. Did you really have a connection the night that you got married and at that party? Did that seem like it was positive and it was going to go well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, don't get me wrong. When I first turned around the aisle, even though you saw me smile, I kind of had a feeling that she might be trouble. And even though she looked quite pretty and stuff on camera, because she did have a very strong and almost superficial presence about her. In the first 3 seconds of seeing her, my gut instinct was she's going to be trouble.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
But this is the difference that you could see between you and her, because you could just see you're so genuine and down to earth, and she didn't appear to be either of those things.
No, she wasn't.
Which is really interesting. Like, that was my perception as a viewer, because I watched the entire series as it came out.
I think everyone did. I don't think there's not a person in, I guess, who's somewhat level-headed that could say otherwise.
I remember you saying that you were disappointed that it hadn't worked out, given that you were the first lesbian couple on the show. Yeah. I remember you saying that on the show. Was that a sort of a fleeting feeling that you had, or was that a strong feeling that sort of pervaded for a long time?
I was angry for about 2 months after the show, because the sacrifice and the arguments with my family and choosing the show over my ex, I put everything on the line for the show.
You did.
I put my business on hold. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still coached clients online during filming, which was good. I packed up house for the show. I came back jobless. The gym had kind of changed my agreement upon me coming back. In a way, it worked well and truly in my favour. But at the time, I came back jobless, partnerless, not talking to my family.
Yeah, that's a lot to take, isn't it? It's a lot to be dealing with. Were you trolled or bullied by people online as well? Was that something that you had to deal with?
Not a lot. Look, it just happened last night. Like we did an Instagram live last night. It was random. I was lying in bed. I was wired. I thought I'll jump on live. And there's always one. There's just always one fake account that'll come on and just, it doesn't matter if you are the most beautiful thing in the room, you'll still get slammed by one person, because you are, for the sheer fact that you are in the limelight, there's always some jealous person out there that will hate on you, you know?
Yeah, and I'm getting that as well with reviews for my podcast. And it's you've just got to have water off a duck's back and recognise they've got issues. If you're proud of yourself and what you've done, that's the main thing. It doesn't really matter what everybody else thinks. Lovely to have the support and the positive reinforcement. We all want that, but I definitely think there's an element of me that's had to learn just to ignore and not get stressed. And I've been able to do it quite well, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely, Jules. And, if fingers crossed, if the podcast goes to number 1, you will probably cop, more of that along the way.
The more exposure,
the higher, 100%. The higher you are.
The more crap you'll get, for sure.
Yeah.
Would you do the show again if somebody said you've got a chance to redo it, or you could go back and make the choice again? Would you still do it, or would you not do it?
Filming conditions aren't easy. If you don't have a good person by your side to be your partner in crime, it can be a lonely time. Lonely, but not. I had amazing support. My friends were ringing me all day, every day, messages. I was never left alone in that sense. I would, but with conditions. I would seriously have to sit producers down and go, right, you know how you kind of screwed Liz over last season? And you've kind of done it to me this season. This is how we're going to work it for the other season.
And I'm sure Lizzie had a much sweeter deal the second time around, and had a lot more privileges than others, perhaps, because she was coming back.
100%. Like, they looked after Liz, rightfully so, though. And look, there were conditions. I won't go into that because it's not my business.
Yeah, sure.
And she's a great girl.
Yeah,
She's a great girl, and Seb's a beautiful guy. You know, they're both great and they've done well. And thank God she got the pot at the end of the rainbow because she
I know, it's
deserved it.
brilliant that they found each other. They're both lovely. Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know what that conversation looked or sounded like, but I'd want to be flown to Sydney, head producer's office and go, right.
Maybe take your agent with you to negotiate.
Agent, you're looking at her, love. Don't worry about that. Yeah.
You're the agent. I'm my own.
I've got an agent.
Oh.
I've got an agent, but I can self-represent. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, what did you think about Tash calling you controlling on the show? Was that something that irritated you? Because you weren't being controlling. You were just setting boundaries and you were just doing you. It was really, I think, an unfair characterization of you, point of view, just watching.
Massively.
How did you feel?
Here's what people need to know about Tash is that Tash doesn't have a good reputation from where she comes from. And it's only because people have personally reached out to me that know her on a very personal level that have confirmed the sort of person that she is. What you saw on the show is what she was, just that. If you got any negative feelings towards her, then don't question that. Controlling, if by controlling you mean we spent no time together and I was frustrated, then sure, I was controlling.
But I think it's more setting boundaries, not controlling. I think it's having standards.
100%. The thing is, Jules, I called her out on her bullshit and she hated it.
Yeah, she did. I loved it.
She hated it because she's not used to that. She's not, I don't think she's ever dated anyone like me, right? Where I know who I am and I don't cover my face in Botox to cover that up.
Well, that's it. It's about natural, genuine, just doing yourself rather than trying to fit into some sort of image or, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to know whether her attitude comes from insecurities or a need for validation. I don't know. But your gist was so different. And I think that's the thing. It appears to me as a viewer that the producers absolutely deliberately set people up who they know will not match because they're trying to create drama.
That was obvious.
Is that a fair guess?
The thing is that the producers sold it to me. I was so convinced it was going to work because of what the producers were feeding me prior to the wedding. They were so excited. They were like, you guys are probably going to be the next Jules and Cam story for next season, this season, da-da-da-da. I think there's a part of them that probably didn't see it coming either. I think they genuinely thought that on paper we were going to work because we had a few things in common. But when you look at it from a cultural standpoint, and if you have any idea about cultural differences, European...
Yeah, I do. My daughter's father was Yugoslavian Russian. So I certainly do have an understanding.
Yeah. We're a very passionate, outspoken breed of people. And we're very loving and warm and we want to overfeed you and over-hospitalise you, give you everything. But if there's something we don't agree with, you're going to know about it.
That's a good quality. Yeah, you don't want to be a doormat. Hey, what do you say to rumours that are flying around? There's so much crap I know that's out there that's not true. What do you say to things like you and Lizzie are dating for a start? Have you seen that?
Yeah, me and Lizzie have a laugh about that. Yeah, that's funny. When we were doing publicity, we had a publicity day. That was for the reunion. So that was back in January. And both me and Lizzie like to sort of really bling it up with our rings and that. We just took a really nice photo of our hands and then it got to the Daily Mail that we were dating.
So do you just laugh all that stuff off?
Oh, laugh? Yeah. No, you can't take that seriously.
No.
Nah.
I mean, the interesting thing is looking at really all of the mass publicity is trying to work out what's real and what's not because there's so many stories out there about affairs and things like that. Who would you say you're closest with from the show?
Definitely Vanessa, Luke, Dave. I speak to Josh occasionally, speak to Seb, Liz occasionally, and that would have to be the main people that I sort of keep in touch with.
What are the positives that you can glean from your experience on MAFS?
Oh, lots. So, making peace with all that inner turmoil that I felt towards my family, accepting people as they are, not as you want them to be. The opportunities it's open. I've now got a very large platform on Instagram with beautiful followers that message me all day, every day. They've become friends. The messages I get every day, it blows your minds because you think, God, some people that are in your life don't even appreciate you, not even a third of the way these people appreciate, and they don't know you.
Oh my God, I was just saying the same thing last night. Like I've had people that barely know me or are really on the periphery trying so hard to help me get votes for this Webby Award. And yet my closest closest friends don't really show very much interest. In fact, I've had some that have not even mentioned it to me, not a word of congratulations. And to me, that seems like such an anomaly. Like if my friend was in the same situation, I'd be doing all that I can to help them. Look at Dino. I only met him 2 weeks ago. He's doing all that he can to help me get votes and been absolutely amazing. And he's
Dino's
such a fantastic guy.
He is. Yeah.
And it's just an interesting way of looking at the human condition and understanding not everybody thinks and behaves the way that you do, and that people that really do appreciate you can really be far and wide and not necessarily in the closer circle.
Sometimes your friends are your haters. When you do better than them, it rocks them, and because they can't relate, they're not on that level, there's going to be a lot of jealousy there. And that's normal, but it's not a sign to stop. It's definitely a sign to keep going. And like I said, you'll find your tribe along the way, and your tribe will be the people that you least expect.
That's so true. I found my tribe in podcasting. I really have. I absolutely love it.
And when you find that tribe too, Jules, sorry to cut you off, but the conversations between each other are so uplifting and positive in ways that you won't have them with your own so-called childhood friends or people you've known for a long time, because you don't necessarily share that in common, and that's all right. But your tribe will be so on your level, you'll be like, oh, yeah, nah, this is great.
It's just so good for the soul. It's soul food, isn't it? It's really
100%.
amazing. I feel so privileged and really lucky to be in the position I'm in at the moment with the people supporting me that I have. Last couple of questions, Amanda. This has been amazing. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Quick fire. Any advice for gay teens who are struggling with their identity?
I think what a lot of teens will do is externalize what they're feeling, and that is like colouring their hair a different colour, that sort of stuff. What I did when I was younger is I used to get creative. Like I used to paint or write music or paint on T-shirts or stuff like that. So getting creative is a really good way to sort of deal with your feelings. Another good book I read growing up is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise L. Hay, which
She's
is all
great.
about...
Yeah, I've read it as well. It's really good.
Yeah, it's a book of affirmations, and affirmations is a good place to start because it's simple when you're young, before you go into the deep dive of psychology behind why do you feel a certain way, act, and all the rest of it. So getting creative, investing into affirmations. I mean, reach out. If anyone's listening and they want to reach out, they're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I'm happy to have a chat with them. I've got a lot of young audience members that follow me online and daily will say, oh my God, thank you so much. And these are kids that are going through depression, trying to figure out their sexuality, all that sort of jazz. And having a mentor to look up to can really be a lifesaver for a lot of young people. It doesn't need to be someone who's physically in your life, but someone that you just click and resonate with that can help make the coming out process a little bit easier.
And help you to find your tribe again. Yes. Amanda, what do you wish you'd known when you were younger that you know now?
We care so much about what people think growing up to the point where it can really paralyse us from doing anything at all. As you get older, you realise, you think, oh God, did I really buy all those labels, and did I try and speak a certain way or whatever? I mean, that's all part of growing up. You get to your 30s and you realise what's really important because you've developed and acquired wisdom. It's not something you can get at the age of 16. It takes time.
It takes
time.
So, you're absolutely right. Overall, what did you think of the whole series of MAFS, and how has it impacted your life?
I've seen better seasons. I think I've seen more entertaining seasons than our one. And I just think they tried to overreach a little too much. I think they were trying to have the same dramatic impact that last season presented. I think 2019, they got it really right from a entertainment perspective. They had a good blend of enough crazy and not so crazy and all the rest of it. So it worked well from a production and entertainment perspective. This season, not only on camera but off camera, too many people went rogue. There's drama, which is fun, and then there's drama, which is just not entertaining. It gets boring and it gets a bit same, and I think that's what this season was. There was an article in the Daily Mail of me calling it a flop of a season. I think ratings were down this season. I mean, if you look at the reunion episode was half an hour less, I believe, from last season. It was almost like they wanted to just hurry up and get it done and move on. I know that production had a hard time with a few of the contestants and stuff. I think some of the contestants just felt very entitled for certain things off camera.
Do you mean people spilling the spoilers and slagging off production before they were sort of out of contract and things like that? Is that what you're referring to?
Nah, I'm talking about during filming. Like people were wanting silver service all the time, but you're forgetting where you are sometimes. And I think, you're getting paid to do a job and you've got to show up and perform. And even though the pay rate may not be amazing for the hours you do, there's opportunity at the end of that. And that's kind of what you go there for, with the focus of give them what they want, but at the other end of that, there's good things that will come.
And how did you feel about the way that the media has sort of handled your story post MAFS? We touched on it a little bit earlier. Are you fine? Does it trouble you? Do you get upset, frustrated?
Unless people insulting me directly, like DMing me, and there hasn't been a lot of that, I'm really none the wiser of what gets printed. Unless people send me links, I don't go looking for articles, because you've seen one, you've seen them all. In the beginning, it's like, oh my God, Daily Mail have written about me. And then when there's 3,000 of them coming out, you're like desensitized.
You're like over it.
You're over it. You lose interest and you're like, you'd rather people not send you stuff, because you know how overinflated some of the stories are. And they literally will take what you've said either on a video or on camera and they'll twist it for their story. And it's like, okay, well, I can't even get upset at this because it's not even factual.
I don't know whether you're seeing anybody or not now, but I wonder, what type of person are you looking for in a partner?
I want someone who is very naturally beautiful and warm, very humble and down to earth, likes to evolve in herself, invests into who she is as a person, not just in her look, but also developing self-awareness and being a better person. I guess someone similar to myself in a way. I'm not even going to call that narcissistic or anything like that, but I think I've worked really hard to deserve someone who's at that level. I've had people where I feel like I've been the coach in the relationship and I just don't want to go back there anymore. I want someone who's at the same level, takes me by surprise and sweeps me off my feet. When all the lockdown restrictions are lifted, I'm sure she's there, but it's a matter of meeting her. So
yeah, and you can't get out at the moment because of COVID. What a nightmare. How's it been over there in Australia?
Look, it's been all right. Like, hasn't been ideal. It's given me a chance to kind of focus on other things that I wouldn't have otherwise touched. As dumb as it sounds, like I've learned how to really work TikTok. And
yeah, I just did my first TikTok yesterday for the Webby Awards thing. It's hilarious. I can't believe it.
It's great. Once you get to know how to do it, it's a lot of fun.
It's so much fun. I'm going to get into it. I really am.
It's so good and it's so easy to build a following. Like in the whole period of lockdown, I've built over 10,000 followers and some videos have gotten nearly 200,000 views.
What? I've got 3 followers and had like 20 views.
Yeah. It helps that I've been on the show. Otherwise I probably would be in the same boat. But it's great. It has a great algorithm. If you're consistent with it and your content's really good, I'm sure, you'll get good traction with it. I've had to be innovative within my own business and kind of look at online coaching from a slightly different perspective. I've had to cater for at-home coaching or at-home programs. So, that was easy enough.
And that's a good thing. You might be able to continue running both, especially if you start to get clients from overseas or in different states, and things like that. So it really could be a way to expand.
Yeah, I've got clients in New Zealand, Scotland. Pretty sure there's some in America as well. So yeah, I've got clients all over the world at the moment, which is great. And I'm working with another, like I said, the Black Dog Coaching, the Sisterhood program. We've got girls all over the country that are doing that at the moment, which I've recruited. If I was working full time, I don't know that I would have as much time
of that. Yeah.
So it's been a much needed break in a way to reinvent other aspects of the business and also move house. I'm in the middle of moving house.
It's great that it's working out so positively for you on all fronts. And my final question for you today for this interview, Amanda, is what are your hopes for the future?
I really want to move into radio and MC work and doing live MC gigs, which I've already been approached online for that.
You'd be great.
I'm going to be working with 2RRR, which is a community radio station based in New South Wales, but you can access it online with 2RRR.org.au. I'll have a live Q&A segment 9 a.m. Thursdays. So if people want to tune into that, I'll give you the links to that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
My Q&As, which I'm pretty well known for, it's kind of like I make them very entertaining and a little bit politically incorrect and stuff. So I got picked up by a radio station for it, and they're like, look, we'd love to sort of have a 5-minute segment. If you can pluck maybe 2 questions out of Q&A, answer them on the radio show each week. So I'm like, okay, brilliant. Everyone would be stoked to have their question put on radio.
Sounds amazing. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So Amanda, how can my listeners find you if they would like to be involved in your coaching or your Black Dog program, or just to reach out to you to get support if they're young LGBTQ people who are struggling?
All the coaching stuff, if you want to look at the content and get a feel for me as a coach, Instagram is at Divine Physiques Coaching, one word. Personally on Instagram at amanda.m.micallef. I've got a fan page which is linked on Facebook as well as Amanda MAFS 2020. If you're not on Instagram, the same content gets fed into that page. If you want to have a chat about coming out or anything like that, it's better on the personal page, on the amanda.m.micallef. They're probably the 2 main pages which I'm really focusing on. And TikTok, if anyone's interested.
I am. I want to follow you on TikTok. What is it?
It's just at Amanda Micallef, my full name. That's it. So,
okay, great.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow you as soon as this podcast is done. Amanda, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been so lovely to meet you. It's been a wonderful chat. You've been so inspiring. I wish you all the best with your businesses. Thank you so much. It's been amazing.
Thank you, Jules.
Season 2 for Fool Me Twice is coming. It's about a diamond scam. I'm so excited. We're working on it already. So that's something for people to look forward to.
Cool.
So for my listeners out there, if this is something that you've enjoyed, please can you tell your friends and family about this podcast? I'm sure there are loads of people who'd love to hear the inside story of Amanda's MAFS journey, hear a little bit about her coming out story and how to manage that, some of her life wisdom, which is really, really amazing and very, very heartfelt. If you could go to iTunes to rate and review us, that's going to help Hong Kong Confidential go up the charts and help people find Amanda's business and her coaching, which will be brilliant. Anybody, if you're interested in sponsoring Hong Kong Confidential, you can go to patreon.com/Hong Kong Confidential. And for as little as $1 a month, you can hear Amanda's answers to 4 secret questions that we're going to put on Patreon now. Get onto Patreon, sponsor me, and you can hear Amanda's secret answers and the answers to about my last 30 guests. Thanks a lot, Amanda. We're going to leave the podcast here and I'm going to see you in Patreon. Bye.
See you, Jules. Thank you.
Hi, Confidants. I want to tell you about my Patreon page. I've joined Patreon in the hope of getting sponsorship for my Hong Kong Confidential podcast. Patreon is a great way for my listeners to get on board and sponsor me with monthly payments, and that goes towards my production costs and rewards for my members. If you're interested in checking out my Patreon page, please go to patreon.com and search up Jules Hannaford or Hong Kong Confidential. I would really appreciate you visiting my page. So that brings us to the end of another Hong Kong Confidential podcast. I'm Jules Hannaford. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you'll be with me again next week. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please can you go to iTunes to rate and review it. I would really appreciate your feedback. You can email me at jules@hongkongconfidential.net, and you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Hong Kong Confidential. If you'd like to hit me up on Twitter, it's at Jules Hannaford. I would love to hear from you.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to AuscastNetwork.com for details.